Our next category is our jumper category, and our presenter, Elizabeth Bordeaux.
Jump Canada is very honored to be part of this presentation to the most famous horse in Canadian sport history. And I am particularly delighted to be a presenter because one of the people receiving the award is one of my closest friends. We've been friends for over 50 years, and she has been an inspiration to the sport by her dedication to the sport by being an owner, because we rarely recognize how important the owners are to our sport. Without them, we would have no sport. And I know that Big Ben was owned by a syndicate, and every one of those people is of equal importance. But I am referring to Faith Burkhuis, who is one of the people who's going to be here, and I believe Eve Mannering is the second one. Is that correct? And oh, good. And Peter Blumen. Sorry, I wasn't very well briefed on this one. Okay. And you will also recognize one of the other owners who's coming, perhaps the most important owner of all, Ian Miller.
Thank you very much. I always say that two things I was the most sure of in my entire life is I want to marry my wife, Lynn, and I had to have Big Ben. And the journey with both has been very special, I must tell you. Elizabeth touches on an excellent point, and that is the importance of the owner. Without the owner, we don't have the horses, and on the world stage right now, it's the one who has the best race car has a decided advantage, and it's all about the quality horses and making it worthwhile and a nice thing for people to own these horses, getting our breeding industry stronger and more developed, corporate sponsorship. These are all the things we have to work on, and this initiative tonight by Jump Canada is a very important step in that direction. For 11 full seasons, Big Ben was a constant in the show jumping scene. And why? Well, first of all, he had the attitude and the aptitude to do it. Secondly, he had the God-given talents, and he had the constitution and soundness to go with it. Thirdly, he had the knowledge. He really was a good learner. You show him something once, and it was his for life. And fourth, he had a feel for the moment. He really epitomized the expression that knowing when is just as important as knowing how. And if a competition was special to us, all we had to do was allow ourselves to think about how important it would be to win that day or to be successful that day. And somehow from us, he sensed it, and he'd become bigger and better. And that's an amazing relationship to have with a horse. 11 years. It was a wonderful ride. I often think that a top athlete is somebody that does their sport very well. But a great athlete is more than that. It's what they do off the field of play. And Big Ben did so much off the field of play. The retirement tour, which proceeds were for therapeutic riding across Canada, and our Canadian equestrian team, and it was backed by BMO Financial. And it was a wonderful adventure. All these years later, Big Ben is still remembered. He's buried at Miller Brook in Perth. He died in 1999, December 99. And he's up on a hill, and he's got a little white fence around him in the shape of a horseshoe. And the open end of the horseshoe is on the high ground because, according to Irish lore, that always must be that way so your luck never falls out. And people still come to visit him. They drive into the farm and they say, "Can we go and see Big Ben's grave?" And they go up there. And that's a remarkable thing. All these years later, young people come to me at the show and they ask me about Big Ben. He really has survived the times. There was a book written about him entitled Big Ben by Larry Scanlon. And truly a memorable thing. And for his contributions out of sport, as well as his contributions in sport, I think he will be remembered for a long time. He had 35 plus or minus owners over the time. These no finer examples than these three. They all made money. Until they made a fatal error. A fatal error. They decided he would never be sold. And that was the day they gave him to every Canadian. And that's how Big Ben lived and died.